going on, y'all? Good morning. We're back and came across some real interesting stuff here, and I wanted to talk about it real quick. Seems WWE has a thing for just banning their talent from appearing on other promotions, specifically AEW, which it seems Kevin Nash on his Click This podcast had talked about this. And he said that Sting had actually invited and requested Kevin Nash be in the audience at Revolution coming up on March 3rd. And he had to have the unfortunate duty to let Sting know. Well, I don't know if it was a duty or anything. Damn, I had to say the word duty. Anyway, sorry. Unfortunately, he was in the unfortunate position, there we go, to have to let Sting know, he wouldn't be able to attend. And, of course, Sting himself was disappointed, as was Nash himself, because of the fact that Kevin Nash is actually on a Legends deal with WWE. So, I mean, that sort of thing is understandable, but at the same time, I feel like they've actually had that be a thing before and it wasn't really an issue. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken on that. I don't really know all the details on that. And I can't really remember specifically what it is I'm thinking of as an example. But, I kind of feel like things like them having Jordynne Grace in the Women's Rumble, and of course, the fact that William Regal was released out of his contract early to return to WWE, I thought that was just those would all be things that would, I guess, lead one to believe that, WWE would be a little bit more lax, a little bit more, I guess, okay with that sort of thing, and apparently it isn't. I mean, even with Vince McMahon no longer in the picture and probably more than likely on his way to spending his natural life, the rest of his natural life in jail, but all that aside, it's just a little bit odd to me because you would think with all these changes with TKO and this new regime and everything, they might actually be cool about that. I mean, we just had Michael Chandler challenging Conor McGregor to a UFC fight on Monday Night Raw. I mean, I get that they're all under that TKO Endeavor umbrella and everything, but just is kind of odd to me. And more than that, they've actually referenced talent that is with AEW in the relatively recent past, be it on actual TV or premium live events. I mean, it's just not as if they're really committing some forbidden cardinal sin or something like that. I mean, if you want to talk about there being a potential conflict of interest, okay, fine. I could see that. But I would like to think that we're at a point to where, conflict of interest isn't so much of an issue anymore. Or maybe I misread something in all of that. I don't know. I didn't read between the lines somewhere on that. But, well, really the bottom line of it all is that in this particular case, any hopes of Kevin Nash appearing at Revolution, that's just not going to happen. You're not going to see anyone the likes of Booker T. I'm not so sure about Kurt Angle. I don't know what his situation is. I remember him being released but then brought back. Again, I'm not sure what the current nature of that relationship is as of right now. But I'd like to think, he's a part of Sting's past. He could show up, Obviously, we're not going to get the likes of a Scott Hall, God rest his soul, but I would think that if he were around, he'd probably want to, but it'd probably be the same thing as Kevin Nash, a conflict of interest. Scott Steiner, last time I checked, he's not particularly obligated to WWE in that regard, from what I know. Maybe there's something to that I'm missing, but between him and Rick, I'd like to think they could make an appearance. I mean, Rick, a little more so connected, obviously, with Braun Breaker being his son and all, but, you know, I don't think he's as directly tied to WWE as a Kevin Nash is. Again, that's just the last time I checked. There is a weird thing that did get out, apparently, that Rob Van Dam, also someone who's worked with Sting in the past, lost any opportunity for a WrestleMania 40 booking for having appeared on AEW, which I gotta say is really wild to me if that's the case, because I know he's on a Legends deal, but like, he's not as tight to everything with WWE as a Kevin Nash is. Like, it's kind of how Roman Reigns says it, there are levels to how all of these things go. And at least as far as what my understanding was, it wasn't necessarily so much of an issue depending on the nature of your deal. Now, somebody I would say I'd be shocked if he didn't appear would be Bill Goldberg, because he's no longer with WWE. So that's fair game right there. There are probably a bunch of them that I'm able to name off right now that aren't as fresh in my mind. Lex Luger is an obvious one. I'd like to think he's going to be there. Perhaps Arn Anderson, although he's actually, last time I checked, with AEW, you know. That's someone that could actually show up. I'm not really sure on the details of a lot of people, because, like, again, I don't really know who all has that WWE Legends deal and what the nature of said deals are, or even the writing in those deals. But what I do know is that, at least with the way that the landscape has changed, it's a little bit surprising to me that this would be the case. I mean, not so much so to where I'm like, you know, like blown away, shocked, like jaw to the floor or anything like that, but, you know, it's just a little bit surprising that, you know, this is still where we're at, because I would like to think that good faith within pro wrestling would just be a thing, but I guess not so much, you know. I mean, again, this is just my take on it, how I was looking at it. I was probably mistaken on some aspect of that, or clearly I was, but, I mean, to me, I'd like to think, hopefully, there's some last-second thing to where Kevin's able to show up, and he's there along with whoever else. I mean, Sean Waltman, for that matter, although he's obviously got a deal, and there's actually been word that he may actually appear at WrestleMania 40 as well, so maybe that's even less likely, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of wild, but what do y'all think? I mean, who would y'all like to see show up for Sting's last match at Revolution? You know what it is. Let me know what y'all think. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll get at y'all again later.